As the weeks slipped by, Mark settled into his routine, becoming the picture of the attentive homeowner. He mowed his lawn with military precision on alternate Thursday, replaced the dead hydrangea bush with a custom lilac, and even attended a potluck barbecue where he complimented Susan's famous potato salad. But beneath this facade, Mark was intensifying his investigation. He observed patterns in Karen's behavior, mapping out her daily routines to anticipate her movement. He noticed her weekly coffee trips to the Cozy Cup Cafe and found alternative routes to avoid her usual morning stroll. He noted her habit of dining at the Rusty Lantern restaurant and switched to takeout to avoid being seated in her section. Precision and patience were paramount. He couldn't afford to raise suspicion. Not yet. His nightly research became more intricate. Mark meticulously combed through online building plans, cross-referencing blueprints with actual site features. He discovered undocumented decks, extended patios, and even hidden fences. Meanwhile, his video evidence grew. He recorded discarded violation slips, ambiguous repair bills, and unexplained construction materials delivered to Karen's house. On Friday evenings, after the last shred of physical evidence was gathered, Mark typed out detailed reports, laying out his findings in dense paragraphs. Each entry contained timestamps, witness names, and photographic proof. But his favorite discovery was in the basement of the HOA clubhouse. Behind a stack of old trophies and flyers, he found a cache of audio recording. The previous HOA president had stashed away cassette tapes of past board meetings before her untimely resignation. Mark transferred the audio files onto his computer. Inside, he heard discussions of arbitrary fines, unfounded complaints, and outright retaliation against residents. At one point, he heard his own name. "We have a new resident in Section D, Ellison, single guy. Early retirement, according to our records. We need to watch him closely. He could be trouble." Mark recognized Karen's voice. Who else was on the board back then? And how had they all remained silent? A sudden knock startled him. Mark spun around to find his doorbell flashing. He checked the clock. 7:15 p.m. That was Karen's usual return time from book club. He pressed the intercom. "Yes, delivery for Mr. Ellison. Signature required." Mark hesitated. He hadn't ordered anything. He peered out the side window, saw a woman in a nondescript uniform holding a bulky package, and glanced at his front door. It was unlocked. He considered the risk. "I'll be right there." He rushed downstairs, grabbed his bat, hid it behind the door, and signed for the delivery. The driver left as quickly as she'd arrived. Mark examined the box. It was large, heavy, and taped securely. He brought it upstairs, locked the door, and propped it open on his spare bedroom floor. It was filled with outdated electronic equipment, wires, circuit boards, and an ominous black briefcase. Curious and cautious, he opened the briefcase. Inside, nestled among layers of protective foam, was a single hard drive. There was no identifying information except for a faint logo he recognized. It was the Cozy Cup Cafe logo. Mark slid the drive onto his computer. Images flashed across the screen. Security camera footage from inside and outside the cafe, including license plate numbers and timestamps. He watched as familiar faces entered and exited. Karen, Roger, Dana, Susie, and then there was Elena, the quiet lawyer, from the welcome meeting. She appeared frequently, always alone, always furtively glancing around. Then Mark saw something that made his heart skip a beat. A file labeled Oakridge Lane resident list, which contained every address, phone number, email, and detailed profile of every resident in the community. He scrolled down until he found his own entry. Ellison, Mark, retired corporate executive, early 40s, recent transplant from New York. Likes classic cars, jazz, music, good, Scotch. Dislikes unknown, assets, wealthy, potential threat, none. How did they know about his divorce? About my son? Mark felt a surge of protectiveness. This was more than personal snooping. It was voyeuristic, invasive, and downright creepy. He dove deeper into the videos. He searched for Elena, following her movements both in and out of the cafe. And eventually he found his answer. In a dimly lit parking garage across the street from the cafe, Elena met with an unknown man in a dark sedan. They spoke in hushed tones, leaning close to each other as if sharing secrets. Elena left shortly after, returning to the cafe to continue working. Who was the man? Was he part of the HOA? Or was this a coincidence? Mark felt the pull of curiosity. He wanted answers, but he also knew when to hold back. He couldn't risk exposure, not yet. He needed to stay hidden, keep gathering evidence, and make sure Elena was okay. Meanwhile, the whisper network of Oakridge Lane was buzzing. Elena was the topic. Du jour. Rumors swirled. Hadn't she always been alone? Who was that mysterious visitor in the nondescript car? Why had she started going to the cozy cup regularly? It was the perfect environment for rumors to flourish. A sense of unease settled over Elena as she walked her usual route home from the cafe. Her phone buzzed. Another text from an unknown number. Careful where you go. Some people are watching. She froze. Was this a crank call? A bored teenager? Or was someone actually following her? Glancing over her shoulder, she quickened her pace. At her doorstep, her hand trembled as she reached for her keys. But when she turned, a reassuring face smiled back at her. It was Mark Ellison, her neighbor from Section D. Elena writes, I just wanted to say hello. Bye. I've seen you around and I thought I should properly introduce myself. Come on in. He stepped aside, revealing a table laden with homemade cookies. Elena stared at him, bewildered. Then, cautiously, she stepped inside. So, do you need something? Mark gestured to the table. Help yourself to a cookie. Can I get you a tea or coffee? I don't mean to be forward, but I wanted to personally welcome you to Oakridge. Elena felt a mixture of relief and intrigue. Could this seemingly harmless man really want to socialize? She cautiously accepted a cookie. Thank you, why? Mark leaned back. I don't know. I just think it's important to know your neighbor. Besides, I have a feeling you're going through a tough time. I'm sorry about that, by the way. I heard. She nodded numbly. So, he knew about her husband, about her separation. Was he here to gossip? Look, I'm not trying to pry. I just thought maybe you'd appreciate a friendly face. Someone who understands what you're going through. It was a carefully calibrated conversation. Empathetic but distant. Warm but careful not to get too personal. As Elena listened, a plan began to form in her mind. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford, but perhaps she could use this unexpected connection to her advantage. Maybe Mark Ellison wasn't just a nosy neighbor. Maybe he was an opportunity. The news of Elena's mysterious visitor spread like wildfire through Oakridge. The grapevine hummed with speculation. Was the outsider a private investigator, a journalist, an ex-husband? Karen Weller received a flurry of calls. Concerned residents poured out their theories, their voices shaking with barely concealed fear. I saw him talking to Elena. She's up to no good. That one. I just know it. They're probably digging up dirt on us. I've got nothing to hide. But what if they're looking for something to use against me? Karen listened patiently, nodding empathetically. But inside, a cold resolve hardened her features. The truth was, she had anticipated outsiders poking around. She'd seen the cracks in her perfect facade. A new change was inevitable. But she wouldn't go quietly. Later that day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns, Karen held an emergency HOA meeting. Only the board members were present. We have a situation, Karen said, her voice low but firm. Someone has infiltrated our community. It doesn't matter who he is or what he's here for. He's a threat to our way of life. Roger leaned forward. What should we do? Karen's eyes glinted with determination. Find out everything there is to know about him. Leave no stone unturned. And if we find anything that could compromise our community, I want to know immediately. Her board members nodded, their faces grim, their eyes hard with purpose. As darkness fell over Oakridge, the hunters were out searching for their prey. But they didn't realize they were treading on dangerous ground.